This election is apparently going to be rigged, according to Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. And really what Trump is doing is he is setting himself up to explain on November 9th why he was completely blown out. It's not a guarantee that Trump is going to lose in November, but if you look at the polling right now, 21 of 21 recent polls say Hillary's ahead. State by state polling suggests that Donald Trump will not even crack 200 electoral votes in November. If that happens, you know what Trump is doing, Lewis. He is setting himself up to blame his loss on the election being rigged. There's a new webpage on his website which says you can volunteer to be a Trump election observer. The page says, "Help me stop crooked Hillary from rigging this election." Trump is saying Democrats are rigging the election and that that's the only way he could lose. He showed up in Pennsylvania, where he is down 10, and said the only way that we will lose in Pennsylvania is if cheating goes on. Well, what about the fact that you're already down 9.2 points in Pennsylvania? Apparently that doesn't matter. Here's the reason this is really dangerous. We know that the DNC was involved in helping Bernie Sanders defeat Hillary Clinton in the Democratic primary. So some people have a passing awareness of that. Then they hear Trump say the November election is rigged. And they sort of think that what happened in the DNC proves that the November election is, quote, rigged. There is a huge difference between a political party helping one candidate to become the nominee and, quote, rigging the way Trump is describing. So I am really worried that this is going to have a very, very negative effect on a lot of people that will be based in a sort of semantic similarity on, quote, rigging, and it's not actually going to mean what people think it means.
Right. And there were those in the Bernie camp who, to them, if Hillary wins California, there's no way that could have been a legitimate win.
Right.
If Hillary wins New York, there's no way that could have been a legitimate win.
Right.
And Donald Trump is now doing the same thing. He's putting that in people's minds. And even if it's looking like it's going to be a Hillary victory, I mean, these people aren't going to change anything. They're just going to be furious, but who knows what they'll do when they're furious.
And unfortunately, people are primed to believe this. We have a quote here from 2014 from Joseph Osinski and Joseph Parent, who wrote, "Just before the 2012 election, we asked a sample of respondents about the likelihood of voter fraud if their preferred presidential candidate didn't win. About 50% said fraud would have been very or somewhat likely. When asked if someone was using dirty tricks, about 85% believed that some candidate, campaign, or political group was." And this applies, as the second paragraph here suggests, both to Republicans and Democrats. My concern is that this type of voter suppression, right? When we talk as progressives about Republicans wanting to make it more difficult for traditionally non-white liberal areas to get extended voting hours or whatever the case may be, we are not talking about the rigging that Donald Trump is suggesting. And he is very astutely here taking advantage of public sentiment around the different definitions of electoral fraud to prime people to believe on November 9th that if indeed he gets blown out, which he may, that it was all because things were rigged. He otherwise would have won. Very, very dangerous. Send me your thoughts on it. We're going to continue talking about that.